she said. "I found the love of my life. He's a guy I met online. I'm flying to Florida to meet him." I looked at her, smiled, and nodded. "I hope you're happy." Then I changed all the locks and moved all her belongings back to her mom's house. 3 days later, she was crying and panicking, calling me after realizing that the online guy she had been chasing was. I was folding the last of Claire's clothes when I saw her note lying on the counter. "I've found the love of my life. His name's Jack. I met him online. I'm flying to Florida to meet him." The handwriting was careful, almost elegant, as if she wanted even her goodbye to look perfect. I could still remember her face that morning, focused and serious as she wrote the note. I smiled, nodded once, and said, "I hope you're happy." No arguments, no pleas. I just accepted it quietly. That evening, I called a locksmith, changed all the locks, packed her belongings into boxes, and sent them to her mother's house. I had prepared boxes earlier and called the locksmith in the afternoon, so all her things were packed and sent the same day. 3 days later, my phone buzzed just after midnight. Her name appeared on the screen. I hesitated, then picked up. Her voice was trembling and cracked as she spoke through the line. Claire and I had been together for almost 5 years. We met at a friend's party. She was by the record player, pretending to know the band playing. I teased her, she laughed, and that was how we started dating. Back then, she was confident and outgoing. I was quiet, a systems engineer who liked predictable routines, calm mornings, and black coffee. Somehow we fit together. For a long time, I thought she would be the last person I'd fall for. 2 years into our relationship, we moved into a small apartment downtown. My name on the lease, her art prints on the walls. We had routines, morning runs, weekend markets, takeout on Fridays. It wasn't glamorous, but it was steady. And that steadiness felt like love to me. Looking back, maybe that's when I stopped noticing how restless she was becoming. She started spending more time online, joining forums, creative groups, and making late-night video calls with people I didn't know. I noticed she stayed up until 2 a.m. several nights a week and often spoke quietly into her headphones. I didn't push. Trust, I thought, meant giving someone room to breathe. But the space I gave her became the distance between us. Over the next few months, her laughter and tone changed. It didn't sound like before when we were together, and she seemed distant, focused on her screen instead of the room. One afternoon, I came home early from work. She was sitting on the balcony, talking to someone through her earbuds, voice soft and unfamiliar. When she saw me, she jumped and ended the call quickly. "Just a friend," she said. Her cheeks were red. I wanted to believe her. Then came the small changes. Deleting messages when I walked by. Switching tabs too quickly. The faint smell of new perfume she'd never worn for me. Still, I convinced myself it was nothing. I didn't want to be that guy. Paranoid, insecure, controlling, until one night, she mentioned him. Jack. It was casual at first. A passing comment about a guy from Florida who gives amazing feedback on my work. She talked about how creative he was, how they shared the same sense of humor, how he just gets it. The way she said his name felt too warm for someone she'd never met. That's when I realized something had shifted, not just between us, but inside her. She started dressing differently, staying out later, spending money she didn't have on trips she hadn't planned yet. When I asked what was going on, she said, "Adam, don't make this a big deal. You wouldn't understand." And maybe she was right, because I didn't understand how someone could walk away from everything real for something that only existed on a screen. Still, I held on, hoping it was just a phase, that she'd come back down to earth. But every day she drifted further. Until finally, that morning, she looked me in the eyes and said the words that ended everything. "I've found the love of my life. His name's Jack. I'm flying to Florida to meet him." She had checked Jack's profile several times and trusted what he said. He told her everything would be fine when she arrived in Florida, so she didn't doubt him. It wasn't just betrayal. It was disbelief, like watching someone you love walk straight into traffic, smiling. And I realized then, there's no way to stop someone who's already decided to leave. All you can do is open the door, let them go, and close it quietly behind them. The day Claire actually told me she was leaving didn't come with yelling or storming out like in movies. It came quietly. Too quietly. The day Claire told me she was leaving didn't come with yelling or storming out. It happened quietly. It was a Saturday morning. I was watering the plants on the windowsill when she walked into the living room with her suitcase by the door. She checked her phone a few times while telling me, "Adam, I'm leaving." I'm going to Florida to be with Jack. She moved around the room while I nodded quietly, keeping calm and not arguing. Adam, we need to talk, she said. I already knew. She sat across from me on the couch we once saved up for together. Her hands twisted at the hem of her shirt. She took a long breath, and then, I'm leaving. I'm going to Florida, to be with Jack. She said his name like it meant destiny, like I'd only been a placeholder. I placed the watering can down slowly. So you've made your choice. It's not a choice, she insisted, voice trembling. It's fate. He understands me in ways you never did. There it was, the line every betrayed partner hears right before the knife twists. I nodded once, keeping my voice level. And what is it he understands? Your favorite color? Your biggest fears? Or just the version of you you've edited to look perfect on screen? Her eyes flashed with anger. You don't get to judge me. Not when you were never truly present. Jack listens to me, I almost laughed. A man who exists behind a username and compliments. He listens better than the person who held you through every breakdown. But I didn't say that. I just leaned back and stared at the ceiling. How long? I asked. A few months, she said, looking away. Since January, I did the math. That meant through my birthday, through our anniversary, through every kiss where she pretended nothing was wrong. So all this time, I said slowly, you've been planning to leave. Claire swallowed hard. I didn't want to hurt you. Then you should have left sooner, I replied. Hesitating only made the fall bigger. Tears welled in her eyes, and for a second, I saw the woman I used to know. Scared, unsure. But then her expression hardened, like she needed to justify the wreckage. You'll see, she said. Jack is real, and he loves me in a way you never could. I studied her, this person who used to share my bed, my hopes, my future. And in that moment, I realized she wasn't mine to lose anymore. She'd been gone long before she ever boarded that plane. So, I said calmly, what do you want from me right now? She blinked at me, confused by the steadiness in my voice. I thought you'd fight for me, she whispered. I thought you'd try to stop me. There's nothing to fight for, I said. You already left, her lower lip trembled. You're just going to let me go. I'm not letting you go, I corrected. You're walking away. Silence hung heavy between us. She looked small suddenly. Small in a dream absurdly too big for her. You'll regret this, she muttered, grabbing the suitcase handle. One day you'll realize what you lost. I stood and opened the door for her. Goodbye, Claire. She paused at the threshold. Her eyes searched mine, desperate for anger, for a plea, for something that would make her feel powerful. But there was nothing left to give. And I think that hurt her more than any shouting ever could. She left without another word. I closed the door behind her, locked it, and leaned my forehead against the wood. My hands shook, not from sadness, but from the sudden lightness of being free from a weight I didn't realize I'd been carrying. Love hadn't left that apartment. The illusion of it had. The morning after she left, the apartment felt strangely weightless. No perfume in the hallway. No hum of her playlists bleeding through the walls. Just quiet. A kind of peace I hadn't realized I'd been starving for. I spent that day in silence, moving through each room like a surgeon removing a tumor. Her art supplies, her books, the mug that said good morning, sunshine, all boxed neatly and labeled, return to sender. By noon, I called a locksmith. Watching the old locks come off was almost symbolic. The last bits of shared trust unscrewed from the doorframe. Then I changed every password. Wi-Fi, Netflix, shared drive, even the grocery app. One by one, the digital traces of her disappeared, until the only thing left was the memory. Her mother answered when the delivery truck dropped off the boxes that evening. She didn't say much, just a quiet, resigned, I'll take them. Maybe she knew. Maybe mothers always do. 3 days passed. Then at 12:47 a.m., my phone rang. Claire. I let it buzz twice before answering. Her voice came through the speaker. Shaky, broken, almost unrecognizable. Adam, I need you. I stayed silent. He's gone, she said, sobbing. Jack's gone. He isn't who he said he was. I felt my stomach tighten, but my voice didn't waver. What do you mean? He lied about everything, she cried. His photos were fake, stock pictures. The address he gave me was some abandoned rental. I flew all the way to Florida, and there was no one waiting at the airport. I tried calling. The number's disconnected. I lost my money, Adam. I lost everything. She was gasping between words, half hysterical. I'm at a motel, she whispered. I don't know what to do. Please, just tell me what to do. For a long time, I didn't say anything. I could hear the hum of the motel's air conditioner through the line, the muffled sound of her crying. Then I spoke, slowly. "Claire, you remember when you said you found the love of your life?" She sniffled. "Adam, please don't—" I cut her off, my tone steady. "You did find him. You found exactly what you were looking for. Attention, excitement, validation. Just not reality." She let out a strangled sound, half cry, half breath. "You can't be serious," she whispered. "You're just going to let me fall apart like this?" "You made your choice," I said quietly. "I'm only respecting it." Then before she could reply, I ended the call. The phone lit up again seconds later. Then again, then again. I turned it face down and stared at the ceiling until the buzzing stopped. The next morning, my voicemail was full. Messages that started with anger, turned into tears, and finally silence. 2 days later, her sister texted me. "Claire told me what happened. She's devastated. You could at least check if she's okay." I didn't reply. That night, as I sat on the balcony with a cup of coffee, I thought about how love can turn into noise. Begging, apologizing, promising. But peace? Peace is quiet, and I'd earned my silence. Weeks later, a mutual friend told me the full story. Jack wasn't just a scammer. He was part of a ring that targeted women online with fake profiles, stolen photos, and stories of instant connection. Claire had sent him nearly $5,000 for plane tickets and other costs he claimed were necessary, believing she was meeting the right person. She'd fallen for an illusion and lost herself in the process. When I heard that, I didn't feel triumphant, just sad. Sad for what she'd thrown away chasing something that never existed, but I didn't reach out. Not out of hatred, out of self-respect, because sometimes walking away isn't cruelty. It's closure. It's strange how quickly people rewrite the story when they realize you won't play the villain they expect. A week after Claire's meltdown, her mother called me. The tone was sharp, the kind that drips guilt instead of reason. "Adam, how could you just abandon her like this? She's lost, she's humiliated, she needs support." I took a slow breath. "With all due respect, ma'am, your daughter didn't get lost. She took a one-way flight to it." There was silence on the other end, followed by a shaky sigh. "You've changed," I smiled faintly. "Yes, finally." That night, I deleted the last photos of Claire from my phone. Not out of anger, just because I no longer needed evidence that she'd been real. Over the next few weeks, news trickled in through mutual friends. Claire had moved back in with her mother. She'd quit her freelance work because clients stopped trusting her after she went missing for weeks chasing her soulmate. Her savings were gone, her reputation bruised, her confidence shattered. She tried reaching out one last time. A long email with the subject line, "You were right." I never opened it. People love to talk about closure like it's a door you can shut neatly behind you. But real closure isn't cinematic. It's just a day when you wake up, make your coffee, and realize you didn't think about them until halfway through your morning. That day came quietly for me. I started running again. Long, early runs through empty streets, headphones in, mind clear. I reconnected with old friends, fixed up the apartment, even painted over the wall where Claire used to hang her art. The silence that used to feel heavy now felt like ownership. A month later, at the cafe near my office, I ran into someone new, Mara, a photographer. She laughed too loudly, spilled coffee on her own notebook, and didn't apologize for it. There was no spark of fate or grand connection, just something simpler. Calm. We started talking, then walking, then seeing each other. She didn't need saving, and I didn't need to prove anything. It was refreshing to be with someone who lived in the same world as me, not some fantasy built out of pixels and promises. One afternoon, while cleaning, I found an old sketch of Claire's tucked inside a drawer, a pencil drawing of us sitting side by side, smiling at nothing. I stared at it for a while, then folded it gently and placed it in the trash, not out of spite, out of peace, because I finally understood. The opposite of love isn't hate. It's indifference. Meanwhile, through friends, I learned that Jack, or whoever he really was, had resurfaced online under a new name. And despite everything, part of me knew Claire might still be searching for him. Some people don't learn. They just repeat until life teaches them harder. But that was no longer my burden to carry. When people asked what happened between us, I told them the truth. No embellishment, no bitterness. She chased a dream. I stayed awake. Every so often I'd get a message from someone who'd heard bits of the story. They always said the same thing. "You handled it so calmly." I'd have lost it, But the truth is, calm isn't always peace. Sometimes it's just exhaustion wearing a suit. Now, months later, I still think about that night she called me from that motel in Florida. The sound of her voice breaking through the line. I used to replay it in my head. Not anymore. Because I finally realized something. I wasn't the one who needed saving. She was. And I'd already done everything I could.